So in terms of, repeat it for me again. So in terms of the records.
So you're not cleaning the data, you're scrubbing the data.
Yes.
You can't afford to run it through a dozen scrubbers if they all charge you extra. So how does that work?
Volume. We have, very, very, very high volume. So 25,000 transactions per day are flowing through the system. So the pricing we have against those data scrubbers is very different than the pricing that other folks have against those data scrubbers.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's very cost effective.
So McDonald's comes on and they've got an offer. Then the publishers can come on and pick the offer up if they like it.
Yes.
Okay, but what if McDonald's doesn't want to be on, does it go both ways? So you run the offer and 400 websites say we want to run it. Then does McDonald's get a chance to say we only want half of those, or how does that work?
Yeah, McDonald's can
explain it.
From McDonald's perspective, they can play it either way. So they can say, I want to put orders. Effectively, what we're creating in our software is a digital insertion order. So McDonald's can say, I want to have orders for specific publishers, publisher A, B, C, D, E. That's a live order that sits in our software. All the mechanisms that we've discussed around the data scrubbing flow through those orders and deliver to them.
So what you're saying is that McDonald's would come on and see the 1,000 websites you have and pick the ones that would be acceptable and only give IOs to the ones that are acceptable. They won't just do a blanket IO to anybody you've got.
They can do both. So McDonald's can choose ones that they deem to be acceptable, or we have something that's called lead class. The lead class system takes leads. It doesn't take lead sources. It takes specific consumers and puts them into a quality bucket. So bucket A, B, or C. We call it premium, certified, or value. So McDonald's could say that these consumers in premium have the highest level of intent and probability to convert into the type of customer that McDonald's looking to acquire. These leads in bucket C have a lower intent. Some of them are going to convert, but they're going to be a lower intent. And they can price bucket A at $10, $5, $2, however they want to do it.
How do they know? They don't know that until they run a while with you and you run enough analytics for them to get an idea and they've run ROI. They don't know from the beginning, or is it more of a demographic bucket? 100,000 plus, this is Jaguar. These are 100,000 plus, etc. How does it work? Is it a demographic driven like normal advertising, or is it more of a analytics driven?
It's more analytics driven. So we understand from McDonald's the consumers that are converting into the type of customer that they're looking for, and we have ongoing data from that campaign and then interaction with those consumers that they deem to be most beneficial for what they're trying to achieve. And then we identify the more consumers from different sources of media, which is a reflection of the intent of the consumer, is where the media is. We draw a direct correlation to the intent of the consumer based on the media source, because that speaks to demographics and the issues that you were just mentioning.
Right.
So our software will look at McDonald's performance and automatically put individual consumers into each of those three buckets for McDonald's the price. Over time, absolutely it becomes more and more accurate for McDonald's. With feedback from McDonald's is a piece of it. The third-party feeds are a piece of it. Feedback from McDonald's is a piece of it. Consumers could even interact with the system if McDonald's wants them to get direct feedback from consumers as another piece of it, to see it all work better.
So if I'm an agency and I come to you and I just found out about you and I say, look, McDonald's is my account. I'm running their social media campaign. We would like literally hundreds of thousands of leads, but we don't know, we're not going to call them up and sell them insurance. We're not going to call them up and, we may send them a coupon in their email, but we really just need their first name.
Yep.
We don't want to talk to these guys.
Yep.
We get first name and email. We want to make sure it's a good email, and we want to get them in some kind of a drip program. But we don't know exactly what they should be. Everybody eats hamburgers. What would you say? How would you say they could get started? Would you say, here's 10,000 sites. You want to pick the ones you like?
So here's what I would recommend for McDonald's in this scenario. So I would recommend for McDonald's that we we would help them pick the sites. So we would help them on that front. Here's the publishers that you can work with. But what I would recommend, it's the name of the game is performance marketing. So again, it depends on what McDonald's is trying to achieve. If they're trying to achieve selling more hamburgers, which is their core business, then what I would recommend McDonald's does is bundle into that lead experience a coupon or something of that nature. I would recommend that McDonald's bundle in to their system the tracking of those coupons at point of redemption, and that's very easy for us to hook it right back in. Then we can have pure visibility into what McDonald's is after. If they're after selling hamburgers, we'll clearly know through what media sources the most hamburgers are being sold.
You built a system that will allow them to give their feedback to you seamlessly.
Automatically, yes. In an automated fashion, McDonald's can give their feedback to me. I haven't built the system, a software that tracks coupon redemption.
You haven't built that?
I have not built that system. We don't have that system.
But it's in the works?
No, it's not in the works. Third parties have those systems that can track coupon redemption, or we integrate with them.
APIs?
Yes, that's accurate. That's accurate.
Perfect. Now what, another group of advertisers, what if you've got a resort in Florida, and it wants people from 600 miles away, and they just want to send them out information, but they more like want to send them a monthly, newsletter or e-newsletter. One of the kind of ideas now is that when someone sees an ad, they may not want to go right now, but they may want to go in a year. Kind of like the real estate drip program. They send you a note where you live in your house every month. What are the property values? What's the police reports? When you go to move, then you call them. So the idea is keep them engaged in the loop. That's getting more and more popular with major brands.
Yes.
Can your program be used for something like that?
Absolutely. It's like a timeshare vacation package type of product.
Yes.
Our program can.
Or let's say BMW. And I know that the time frame of buying may be 3 or 4 years. I want to keep them. I want to send them this cool newsletter with video, etc. And I want to keep them in a program. How would they work with you to do that? Where they know they're not going to buy it now. They may be 18. They don't, or they're in grad school. How do they use you guys and use the leads they get to build this social media campaign where they got this one-to-one interaction with these guys?
So it's easy for them to do. So what a company like BMW would do in that instance is they would work with an agency, either BMW themselves or a third-party agency, would design the actual campaign. So we are a lead platform, a marketplace. We don't design the campaigns ourselves. There's lots of professional companies that do that out there, and we can easily recommend some of them to BMW. So that agency would work with BMW to come up with what that campaign is, integrating email, direct mail, whatever the tools are that they want to integrate. We would then drive consumers to opt in to the BMW experience. There can be different types of consumers. There can be consumers we're gathering from the web. There could also be consumers who they already have, who've purchased the BMW. Obviously they know who those consumers are. Their own lists. So then they begin hitting those actual lists with the actual campaign. As they hit the list with the campaign, consumers are interacting back with those lists. It's not a one-way communication, it's a two-way communication. So we're integrated with the third parties, which could be BMW hosting it themselves or other third parties, to understand consumers and how they're engaging from a social perspective, the campaign of BMW. The higher the level of engagement, the more valuable the consumer, obviously, from BMW's perspective. So we're able to measure the level of engagement of consumers and trace it back to where those consumers are being acquired from across the internet and offline. We work with TV, radio also, and offline if you want to play in that way, so that we can then enable BMW to allocate more of their performance marketing budget, which would be committed to driving consumers into that program, to the most effective mechanisms out there on the web. That's the role LeadPoint would play.